This video is about asking for the business. You're reaching out to someone you don't know and you're doing it because you want something. You want some business, you want to do business with that person. How are you doing it? Are you asking directly for it? Are you hoping they'll give it to you? Or are you giving something? That's what this video is about. Somewhere in the middle where we say why we're calling, because the problems that we solve, or during the qualification, at some point we're either explicitly or implicitly asking something. This is the zone where we ask, and we need to understand that. It's a general framework, so you need to think about what it means for your business. Start by thinking about your brand awareness with your prospect, with your future customer, and the differentiation of your products and services. When I was selling for big corporations like Siemens and Nokia, I had very high brand awareness. When I pick up the phone and say, I'm Mike Adams and I'm calling from Siemens, I have credibility. You have instant credibility. Unfortunately, I didn't have a highly differentiated product when I was working for Siemens. It was quite poorly differentiated, so that wasn't such an easy selling environment. If you have a very differentiated, unique product and a very high brand awareness, you don't need salespeople, actually. You just need marketing and they come to you. So normally we're in a situation where one or other of these is not working so well, but we need to move up to the easy. It's difficult if we have low brand awareness, they've never heard of us, and poor differentiation. When I started in a consulting business, I went from working for large corporations with good brand awareness to no brand awareness at all. We had no brand. And in fact, when we first started, I also had very poor differentiation. I was talking about sales training, and that's a poorly differentiated area. There are many providers of sales training. Eventually, I worked out that I needed to be more differentiated, and we started offering free tickets to larger companies that had sales teams to our story workshops. And that actually served two purposes. People came along, suddenly we were not an unknown brand. They spent a day with us, so our brand awareness increased, but actually our differentiation increased as well because they got to see what our products and services were and they understood how we were differentiated. So that giving away a ticket was a way to get ourselves up that path. Now just step back a minute and think about prospecting. We're reaching out to companies that we don't know, people we don't know, and there is an alternative to reaching out in a sales effort, and that is with marketing. We can try to draw a prospect company towards us by marketing, by putting out there what we have. And very often we actually do a combination of the two. And good salespeople really understand marketing and they get involved in marketing. And the big advantage of doing a little bit of marketing is that it increases our brand awareness and our product differentiation, and it takes a difficult prospecting call and just makes it that little bit easier. So think about the outreach that you could have in terms of marketing. Can you associate with a well-known brand? If you're a poorly understood brand or not a well-known brand, can you partner with a better-known brand or a better-known product or service? Maybe you can be the agent for a better-known product or service. That's a way to increase your brand awareness. And if you have a variety of products and services, then lead with your most differentiated service. That should seem obvious maybe, but we didn't do that when we started. It wasn't until we really differentiated some services and we were able to lead with them that we could bring in the other services. Once you're not an unknown brand, once you're understood and known, it's much easier to bring in less differentiated services. Now to the main point of the video, asking and giving. Well, if we think of a continuum here, where all the way over here is what I call the big ask. I'm going to ring someone up and ask them to buy on the phone. Well, that's very difficult. and you would need a highly differentiated, very good offer. But I could ring them up with a small ask, such as 10 minutes on the phone at another time, or a 20-minute meeting. Those would be smaller asks. But it's also worth thinking about a small give or a big give. So the story workshop, when we gave away tickets to the story workshops, that was a fairly big give, but it got us a lot of business. It was a way in. So we were thinking about giving something, which, by the way, is still a way of asking, because even if you give a free ticket, the customer has to send somebody along, which costs time. There's always something that the customer has to give you when you give something. But it can be a very good way to overcome the problem of unknown brand and poor differentiation, at least from the point of view of the customer's understanding. So what we're doing by giving something away, in the case of our story workshops, is moving up the brand awareness line here and actually increasing our differentiation at the same time. There are two psychological principles at play here. The first is called reciprocity, and that's related to when I give something. If I give you something, you feel obligated to give back. And in some cultures, in some countries, that's a very powerful thing. And people, when you go to countries and they're quite commonly giving gifts, you can be pretty sure that reciprocity is playing a big part in that culture. And it can be very uncomfortable for people in these cultures to not be able to give back, to have to feel obligated. And that's the reason, by the way, that there's lots of free downloads and that sort of thing on the internet, my free ebook. Well, they're getting your email address for one thing, but they're also creating an obligation so that they can ask for something a little bit further down the track. The classic internet marketing is give once, give twice, give 3 times, ask for something. So it's a way of engaging. But salespeople have known for a long time that more powerful than reciprocity is the persuasive principle of commitment to consistency. And this happens when your future customer, your prospective customer, gives you something. When they give you something, it's a wonderful thing, because most people, when they give something, they identify with the fact that they are someone who gives you something. So if you were to ask for something else, the chance is quite high that they will give again. Your chance of getting something from someone who has already given you something is much higher than with someone who has never given you anything. And that's why getting them to give you a small thing, such as a meeting, such as time on the phone, such as information, such as complete this survey, just small things, means that they're much more likely to give you bigger things. And that's actually how big sales are done. They're not done all in one go. They're a progression of small give and take. You ask, they give. You ask for more, they give more. You ask for even more. And that's the principle of commitment to consistency, internal consistency. And it's a wonderful thing. Here's the thing, and this is the critical message from this video. You need to ask. You absolutely have to find a way to get to the next step. It's no good having a conversation with your future customer and not getting them to give you something. Now, you can get them to give you something by giving them something, or you can ask. In my opinion, both are asking. Both of them are asking. It has to be here, either in the middle or at the end of the framework. You're asking, and you need to ask. Very important lesson.